Welcome all. In this lecture of statistical mechanics, I am going to discuss about the Planck's and Bose-Einstein approach to black body radiation. Now we all know about black body radiation, which we have read in our quantum mechanics classes. So we consider a radiation cavity of volume V and which is at a temperature T. This particular system has been looked on from two practically identical but conceptually different points of view. So basically there are two different ways for looking into this particular system. Now first thing is that as an assembly of harmonic oscillator with quantized energies ns plus half into h cut omega into s, where ns is equal to 0, 1, 2 in this way, and omega s is the frequency of an oscillator. So this is the first point of view. So we can look at the system as an assembly of harmonic oscillators with quantized energies. So basically we can consider them as harmonic oscillators. So this is the first point of view, harmonic oscillators. The next is that as a gas of identical and indistinguishable quanta. So the second point of view is that as a gas of identical and indistinguishable quanta, the so-called photons, the energy of a photon being h cut omega s. So second point of view is that we can look at the system as a collection of photon gas, and energy of the photon is h cut omega s, and frequency of the photon or corresponding to the frequency omega s of the radiation mode. So frequency of the radiation, that is omega s. So basically this is a photon gas. We can consider this is a photon gas as a gas of photon. So this is the basic thing. So this is the two points of view by which we can look at the system. Now suppose we are considering the first point of view, that is Planck's oscillator approach. The first point of view is essentially the one adopted by Planck, except that we have also included here the 0 point energy of the oscillator. So 0 point energy of the oscillator will be included, which we will explain it further in this particular discussion. And for the thermodynamics of the radiation, this energy is of no great consequence and may be dropped together. The oscillators being distinguishable from one another. This is the one of the important feature, that is here the oscillators are distinguishable from one another. They are distinguishable from one another by the very values of omega s. So what is omega s? We have already told you, that is omega s is the frequency of the radiation, and in another way you can tell, that is from for Planck's approach, that is omega s is the frequency of an oscillator. So we have considered the collection of harmonic oscillators, then omega s is the frequency of an oscillator in the first case. So in the first case, omega s is the frequency of the oscillator, and as the frequencies are different, so we are saying in this way the oscillators are distinguishable from one another, and if they are distinguishable from one another, then they should obey the Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics. So these are the important feature for the Planck's oscillator approach. And the expression for the single oscillator partition function, that is q1 v comma t, we have read in our partition function classes, that is when we discussed about the microcanonical ensemble and canonical ensemble. There we discussed about the partition function. The expression for the single oscillator partition function q1 would be different from the classical expression, because now the energies accessible to the oscillator are discrete rather than continuous. So the thing is that as the energies are discrete, oscillator energies are discrete rather than continuous. We have to keep in mind about this fact that energies are discrete rather than continuous. That is why the expression for the partition function would be different from that of the classical expression. So we have to use the expression that has been used in quantum mechanics, because the expression of the partition function will be different from the classical expression for the fact that energies are now discrete rather than continuous. So this is what about the important characteristic of the Planck's oscillator approach. Now we will use some concepts which we have read in our classes corresponding to canonical ensemble. So there we discussed about the partition functions and how to calculate different thermodynamic variables from the expression of the partition function, and those concepts will be again used here. The energy eigenvalues of a one-dimensional harmonic oscillator are given by epsilon n is equal to n plus half into h cut into omega. We know that this is the expression for the energy, that is epsilon n is equal to n plus half into h cut omega, where n is equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. Now single oscillator partition function, oscillator partition function means q1 beta. And for the quantum case, because we have already said that is as the energies are discrete, we will use the expression for the quantum case. So for the quantum case the expression is like this. So this is the expression of the single oscillator partition function for the quantum case, that is q1 beta. So q1 beta is the single oscillator partition function for the quantum case. So what is the expression? It is n is equal to 0 to infinity e to the power minus beta into n plus half into h cut omega. And if you evaluate the sum, then we will have this expression, that is e to the power minus half into beta h cut into omega divided by 1 minus e to the power minus beta h cut omega. If we further simplify it, then we will obtain this one, that is 2 sine hyperbolic half beta h cut omega to the power minus 1. So this is the expression for the single oscillator partition function for the quantum case. Therefore we can also find the n oscillator partition function. So n oscillator partition function, that is qn beta. Qn beta will be q1 beta to the power n. So what we have obtained here, so we that to the power capital N. So the thing is that 2 sine hyperbolic half beta h cut omega to the power that should be minus n, because minus 1 is there, that is why minus n. Or we can also write by using this particular expression, that is again this to the power n means this one. So this two expression we can use. So that is the expression for the n oscillator partition function. Now as we have obtained the n oscillator functions qn beta, so from that expression of the partition function we can calculate different thermodynamic variables. So at first we have to find, that is what is Helmholtz energy capital A. So this is the expression of the Helmholtz energy capital A. So that is minus kT ln Qn. So after finding capital A, we can obtain different thermodynamic variables such as energy. So we know the expression for the Qn. So if we write the expression of Qn here, that is ln Qn, then we can show that capital A, that is Helmholtz energy, becomes this one. Or we can also write that is Helmholtz energy, that is this expression. We can use any one of those expression. So this is the expression of the capital A. Now we can find the energy U by any one of the formula. The one formula is this one, that is minus del beta of ln Q. This is one of the formula, and another formula which we can also use, that is minus t square del T of A by T. We can also use this formula. Now by using any one of the formula, we can find the value of capital U, that is energy. So if we use Q, then we have to use the expression of Q, that means this expression. So we can use that. And another thing is that if you want to calculate from the value of A, then you use this expression of A, then divide with T, then find the derivative, that is del T. You have to differentiate with respect to capital T and multiply with minus t square. So you can use any approach, and what you can show, that is the value of U is this one. So you can write the value of U, that is either this, that is half NH cut omega cot hyperbolic half beta H cut omega, or you can also write that is n into half H cut omega plus H cut omega divided by e to the power beta H cut omega minus 1. Generally this expression is used for the energy, this second expression, this one. So this is the expression for the energy. The expectation value of the energy of a single Planck oscillator of frequency omega s, excluding the 0 point term half H cut omega s. So if you exclude this first term, that is the 0 point energy, if you exclude the first term, and if you want to calculate a single Planck oscillator, energy of a single Planck oscillator, then you have to divide the expression with capital N, then ultimately you will obtain the value of the energy, that means the second term divided by capital N. So this one, that is expectation value of the energy will become H cut omega s divided by H to e to the power H cut omega s by kT minus 1. So this one is the value of the expectation value of energy by Planck's approach. So here we have discussed the Planck's approach, and we have found the value of the expectation value of the energy. Now let us discuss about the concept of density of states. Now the concept of density of states we have already read in our solid state physics textbook or quantum mechanics textbook. So here we will not discuss this concept in details, but what we can show, that is the density of states, that is gk into dk. Actually the number of allowed states with a wave vector, the number of allowed states with a wave vector, you see this particular portion, that is the number of allowed states with a wave vector whose magnitude lies between k and k plus dk, described by the functions gk dk, where gk is the density of states. This number is given by gk dk is equal to volume in k space of 1 octant of a spherical shell divided by volume in k space occupied per allowed state. So from this expression and by above mathematical equations, what we can show, that is gk into dk is equal to v into k square dk divided by 2k square, where v is a volume of a cubical box. So this expression we will use. This is the expression of the density of states. Now the number of normal modes of vibration in the cavity gk dk is equal to v into k square into dk divided by 2 pi square. So this is the density of states multiplied by 2. The factor 2 corresponds to the two possible polarizations of the electromagnetic waves. Thus gk dk is equal to v k square dk by pi square. The angular frequency omega of each mode of oscillation is related to the wave vector k. Omega is equal to c into k. So this relation is the relation between angular frequency omega and the wave vector k. The number of normal modes of vibration in frequency range omega and omega plus d omega, that means g omega. The number of normal modes of vibration in the frequency range omega and omega plus d omega is given by g omega. So g omega is equal to gk into dk by d omega, that means gk divided by c, where g omega d omega, that is equal to v into omega square into d omega divided by pi square into c cube. So from this expression of gk into dk we can find g omega d omega. How we can find? The first thing is that you have to use the relation omega is equal to c into k. So k will be omega by c. So in this expression we will write k square is equal to omega square by c square, and for dk, k is equal to omega by c, so dk will be d omega by c. So you have to proceed in this way. So this whole expression, that is gk dk, that can be written in terms of the g omega d omega. So g omega d omega will be v into omega square into d omega divided by pi square into c cube. Now this is the density of states in terms of omega, and we can also call g omega d omega as the number of normal modes of vibration in the frequency range omega and omega plus d omega. Now in the above slide, what we have done, that is we have found the mean value of or expectation value of the energy of a single Planck oscillator of frequency omega s. That is, we have deduced this expression for a single Planck oscillator. Now this is the total number of normal modes. This is the total number of normal modes of vibration in the frequency range omega and omega plus d omega. So what will be the energy density associated with the frequency range omega and omega plus d omega? You have to multiply the number of normal modes with the mean value of the energy. So after multiplication of the normal modes with the mean value of energy, we can write, that is the energy density u omega d omega, that becomes h cut divided by pi square c cube into omega cube d omega divided by e to the power h cut omega by kt minus 1. So finally we obtained this expression, and this expression is known as the Planck's formula for the distribution of energy over the black body spectrum. Integrating the expression over all values of omega s, we can obtain the total energy density in the cavity. So this formula is the famous Planck's radiation formula. Now so far what we have discussed, that is Planck's approach, and here we considered the black body radiation as the collection of harmonic oscillators, and from the partition function approach which we have learned in the lecture of canonical ensemble. So from the partition function approach we have deduced the Planck's radiation formula. Now we will treat the black body radiation in another approach, that is known as the Bose-Einstein approach. But we will study the Bose-Einstein approach in to Bose-Einstein approach separately. That is, at first we will discuss about the Bose's approach, next we will discuss about the Einstein's approach. So first thing is that we are considering, that is Bose's photon gas approach. So the second point of view originated with Bose and Einstein. Bose investigated the problem of the distribution of photons over the various energy levels in the system. However, instead of worrying about the allocation of the various photons to the various energy levels, as one would have ordinarily done, he concentrated on the statistics of the energy levels themselves. He examined questions such as the probability of an energy level epsilon is equal to h cat omega s being occupied by ns photons at a time. So what is the probability? What is the probability of an energy level being occupied by ns photons at a time? So what is the probability of that? And he also thought this question, that is, what will be the mean values of ns and epsilon s? What will be the mean values of the number of particles and epsilon s, and so on. So his approach was a little bit different. The statistics of the energy levels is indeed Boltzmannian. That is, the statistics of the energy levels, that is Boltzmannian. Now, how to calculate the mean values of number of photons and energy from the concept of canonical ensemble. So in the earlier slide, what we have told, that is, here the important thing is that you have to find the mean values of the number of particles, and therefrom you can calculate the mean value of the energy. Now how to calculate that mean value? We can calculate the mean values of the number of photons again from the concept of the canonical ensemble that we have already learned. What is the probability that any time t a system in the ensemble is found to be in one of the states characterized by the energy value ER? So suppose the energy of a particular state is ER. Now at a particular time t, that is, what is the probability that the system will be in this energy value? What is the probability? So that probability we can write by using the symbol PR. We use the symbol PR for that. Now what is the expression of PR? The expression of PR is this one. This is the expression of PR. So PR is equal to e to the power minus beta ER divided by sum of e to the power minus beta ER. So this is the expression for the probability, and one thing we have to keep in mind, that is sum of NR that is equal to capital N, and sum of NR into ER that is equal to total energy value E is equal to N into U. Now the expression for the probability PR, that also can be written by this form, that is PR is equal to mean of NR divided by total number of particle N, that is equal to e to the power minus beta ER divided by sum of e to the power minus beta ER. This concept we have learned in our class regarding the canonical ensemble. And from the this probability, from this expression of the probability, we can also calculate the total energy. This is the formula of the total energy. So how to calculate the total energy? U will be sum of ER. ER is the value of the energy. ER into e to the power minus beta ER divided by sum of e to the power minus beta ER. So by using this formula, we can calculate the total energy. Now what is the partition function QNVT? This one is the partition function QNVT. This is the expression for the partition function. Now mean value of any variable f. So suppose this is a particular variable f. So mean value of a particular variable f, that can be written as in this way, that is sum of fi into pi, sum of fi into pi. that is the mean value. Now what is sum of Fi into Pi? Sum of Fi into Pi is this one, that is you see, that is how we have written this. So this is sum of F into Gi into e to the power minus beta Ei divided by sum of Gi e to the power minus beta Ei. Here Gi is the degeneracy. Gi is a degeneracy parameter, and this particular formula has been written in summation form, but we can also write this particular formula in terms of the integration. So if you write this formula in terms of the integration, then that formula will look like that. So you see in the numerator, that is 0 to infinity Fe e to the power minus beta epsilon into G epsilon d epsilon divided by 0 to infinity e to the power minus beta epsilon into G epsilon d epsilon. Here G epsilon d epsilon is the density of states. Now by using this formula, we can calculate the mean value of the energy. For example, you see this is the mean value of the number of particles. At first we will calculate the mean value of the number of particles, then we will calculate the mean value of the energy. So to calculate the mean value of the number of particles, we will use this particular formula, that is the summation formula. This is the summation formula. So this formula we can use. You see here that in the numerator we have written ns into e to the power minus ns, that is e to the power, this is minus beta epsilon, but we know that is beta is equal to 1 by kt. And what is the energy? Energy is ns into h cut omega s. So h cut omega s is the energy per photon, and if we consider total ns number of photon, so that total energy E will be ns into h cut into omega s, and for beta we have written 1 by kt. So this is the numerator, and similarly in the denominator the expression will be like this. Now if we evaluate this particular expression in some, you have to express the numerator and denominator in some power series, and after the simplification you will obtain the mean value of the number of particle is this one. So this is the mean value of the number of particles, but you have to evaluate this particular expression. This is basically exponential series, and you can show that mean value of energy that becomes 1 by e to the power h cut omega s by kt minus 1. So if this is the mean value of the number of particles, then mean value of energy epsilon s will be h cut omega s into mean value of the energy. So ns is the mean value for the number of particles, and h cut omega s is the energy per particle. So mean value of the energy will be this one, that is h cut omega s divided by e to the power h cut omega s by kt minus 1. This is the mean value of the energy. Now the surprising thing is that you see this particular expression of the energy is same as that obtained by Planck. You see the Planck's expression was that is h cut omega cube d omega divided by e to the power h cut omega by kt minus 1 by pi square into c cube. So here the mean value of the energy is this one. Later I will show you that is this is exactly same as Planck's result when we will consider the cavity of the photon. So for a photon confined to a three-dimensional cavity of volume V, the relevant volume of the phase space is integration d cube p, that is equal to V into 4 pi p square into dp. That particular concept we have read in our microcanonical ensemble class. So this is the expression of the phase space where p is equal to h cut omega by c. P is the momentum, p is equal to h cut omega by c. Now we can obtain the number of photon states with momenta lying between h cut omega by c and h cut omega plus d omega by c by the expression g omega d omega, that is the volume of the phase space. So now V into 4 pi p square dp, you see this formula V into 4 pi p square dp, we have written V, and for p we have written h cut omega by c. So this is for p square, this particular term is for p square, and this particular term is for dp, that is for dp. Now we have introduced two extra terms. The first thing is that we have multiplied the expression with 2, and secondly we have divided the expression with h cube. So why it is so? So the main thing is that what we are calculating, actually we are calculating the number of photon states. In the previous slide, what we have done, we have calculated the mean value of the energy. We have calculated. Now we are calculating the number of photon states, and by calculating the number of photon states, what we will do, that thing will be multiplied with the mean value expression. So ultimately what we have obtained by multiplying 2 and divided by h cube, we have obtained v into omega square into d omega divided by pi square into c cube. So if you multiply this factor, that is number of photon state, with the mean value of energy, then this expression will be exactly similar to the expression that we have obtained by Planck's approach. So this formula was obtained by Planck's approach. Now here, from the Bose's approach, when we are multiplying the mean value of the energy with this term, that is number of photon states, so both the energy expression is exactly similar. Now the point is that is why we have multiplied by 2 and divided by h cube. It may be noted that we can divide phase space into elementary cells of volume h cube and put these cells into 1-to-1 correspondence with the vibrational modes of Rayleigh. Basically, this is the total volume of the phase space, and volume of a phase cell is h cube. So if we divide the total volume of the phase space with the volume of a phase cell, then we can obtain the number of photon states. That is why we have divided the volume of the phase space by h cube to obtain the number of photon states. And second thing is that we have multiplied by 2. It may however be added that a two-fold multiplicity of the photon states g is equal to 2 arises from the spin orientation of the photon or from the states of polarization of the vibrational modes. This requires a multiplication of the expression by a factor of 2. So ultimately what we have shown, that is Planck's approach and Bose's approach, that is we have used two different approach and we have calculated the energy value, and we have shown that both energy value is same. Next we will study the Einstein's approach. So what is Einstein's approach? Consider ideal gas in quantum mechanical microcanonical ensemble. In that case, sum of Ni will be the total number of particles capital N, and sum of Ni into epsilon I, that will be the value of the total energy E, and entropy S, that can be written in this way, that is S is equal to K ln W Ni star, where Ni star is the distribution set that maximizes the number W. This is the total accumulation number. W is the total accumulation number. So Ni star is the distribution set that maximizes the number W Ni star. The maximization, however, is to be carried out under the restriction that the quantities capital N and E remains constant, where the expression of capital N is given by this one and expression for the capital E is given by this one. So capital N and capital E should remain constant. This can be done by the method of Lagrange's undetermined multiplier, and we have learned this technique in our microcanonical ensemble classes. So there we have used this particular formula, that is when W will be maximum, in that case delta of ln W minus alpha into sum of delta Ni plus beta into sum of epsilon I delta Ni, that is equal to 0. The most probable number of particles in a single level epsilon I is given by, so that is equal to Ni is equal to Ni star by Gi is equal to 1 divided by e to the power alpha plus beta epsilon I plus A. A is equal to minus 1. A value of A, that is equal to minus 1 for Bose-Einstein distribution. So Ni star by Gi, that is equal to 1 divided by e to the power alpha plus beta epsilon I plus A. Now the point is that here I have not shown, that is how we have derived the value of the mean number of the particles or most probable number of particles in a single level epsilon I. So this is the expression for the most probable number of the particles per level, most probable number of particles in a single level epsilon I. So that is equal to 1 divided by e to the power alpha plus beta epsilon plus A means actually minus 1. So this is basically the mean value of the number of particles. Here we have not shown the derivation, but I request the viewers to go through the lecture of statistical distribution. There this derivation has been shown in details, and here we are using the result only. So that is, we can show this particular equation, that is Ni star by Gi, that is equal to 1 divided by e to the power alpha plus beta epsilon plus A, or in other way this is also the mean number of the particles, and here the value of A is minus 1. Now in Einstein's approach, Einstein considered the statistics of both the photons and the energy level. So this is the different approach if we compare with the Bose's approach. So he considered the statistics of both the photons and the energy levels together, and he inferred that the basic fact to keep in mind during the process of distributing photons over the various energy levels is that the photons are indistinguishable. So he considered the photon particles are indistinguishable one, a fact that had been implicitly taken care of in Bose's treatment. So this concept was implicitly taken in the Bose's treatment. Since the total number of photons in any given volume was indefinite, so if you consider a particular volume, then total number of photon is indefinite. The constraint of a fixed n was no longer present. So in the previous slides what we have shown, that is capital N is equal to sum of Ni, and for the condition that is capital N remain constant, this particular, there was a particular term, this one, that is alpha into sum of delta Ni. So this term was there. But as the total number of photons is indefinite, so now the concept of the fixed n is no longer present. So what we can do, we can omit the term alpha. So if we omit the term alpha, then in the final expression, if we omit the term alpha, then ultimately that is mean value of the energy will be 1 divided by e to the power epsilon by kt minus 1, where epsilon is equal to h cut omega s. So this is the mean value of the number of particles. Now this formula of the mean number of particle is exactly same as that obtained in Bose's derivation, because you see in the Bose's derivation we obtained this same formula. You see the formula, that is h cut omega s divided by e to the power h cut omega s by kt minus 1, where E is equal to epsilon is equal to h cut omega s. So we obtained the same formula in Bose's derivation. Now what we can do, we can compare the oscillator approach and the photon gas approach, that is first point of view and the second point of view. But you note that second point of view has been discussed separately as Bose's treatment and Einstein's treatment. But if you just compare the first point of view, that is oscillator approach, and photon gas approach, so the basic difference is that in the first approach we consider the black body cavity as the collection of oscillator, and an oscillator in the eigenstate ns with energy ns plus half into h cut omega s. And in the second approach, we consider the occupation of the energy level h cut omega s by ns photons. So here the occupation is the main important thing, that is how many a single energy levels is occupied by how many photons. So the occupation is the main important in the second approach. And in the first approach, the average energy epsilon s of an oscillator, we have calculated average energy epsilon s of an oscillator. But in the second approach, in the first approach we calculated that energy directly from the concept of the canonical ensemble. But here in the second approach, at first the mean occupation number ns that was calculated corresponding to a particular level, that is mean occupation number was calculated, and from that expression we have calculated the average value of the energy. So that was the difference between the first approach and the second approach. Now if we consider the formula of the black body, that is black body radiation in general, so the formula is like this. This is the Planck's formula of the distribution of energy over the black body spectrum. So this is the Planck's formula. Now this formula we can write in a simplified form. So this is the simplified form, that is ux into dx, u prime x into dx, that is equal to x cube dx, that is equal to x cube dx divided by e to the power x minus 1. We can write this formula in a simplified form where u prime x, so what is u prime x? U prime x is equal to this one. U prime x is equal to pi square h cut cube c cube divided by kt to the power 4 into ux, and x is equal to h cut omega by kt. So Planck's formula can be written in a simplified form. This is the simplified form, and where u prime x is equal to this one and x is equal to h cut omega by kt. Now this particular formula, from this particular formula we can derive two separate formula. For example, suppose for long wavelength limit, so when wavelength is very long, in that case x will be very less than 1, because you see the expression x is equal to h cut omega by kt. Now omega is equal to 2 pi nu. Omega is equal to 2 pi nu means 2 pi c by lambda. So omega is inversely proportional to lambda. So that means if wavelength is longer, in that case x will be this value of the x will be smaller. Now the point is that you look at this expression again. This is the formula of u prime x is equal to x cube dx by e to the power x minus 1. Now if x is very less than 1, then what we can write? In that case we know that e to the power x can be expanded in a power series. So that series will be like this: 1 plus x square plus x cube, in this way. Now in the expansion of e to the power x there is a term 1, so that 1 will be cancelled out with minus 1 in the denominator, and we will neglect the higher terms, because as x is very less, so x square, x cube, these terms we can drop. So ultimately the denominator, value of the denominator will be only x. So if the value of the denominator is x, then in the numerator there is x cube. So ultimately u prime x will be proportional to x square. So this is the approximation what we can obtain in the Rayleigh-Jeans formalism. So in the Rayleigh-Jeans case, that is for the long wavelength limit, the Planck's formula reduces to u prime x proportional to x square. And for short wavelength limit, value of the x will be very high, that is x is very greater than 1. In that case the value of e to the power x will be much higher than 1. So in that case we can neglect the term 1. So e to the power x minus 1 will be almost equal to e to the power x only. So in that case e to the power x will go to the numerator. So ultimately the expression will be like x cube e to the power minus x. Now we can plot a graph between u prime x and x. So this is the graph here. So in this particular graph the three particular formula, that is Planck's formula, Rayleigh formula and Wien's formula can be plotted. Here the solid line, that is the Planck's formula, and this particular line, this particular line is the Rayleigh formula. This is the Rayleigh formula, and there is another dotted line. This dotted line is like this. This dotted line is like this. So that is the Wien's formula. So the spectral distribution of energy in the black body radiation. This is a spectral distribution of energy. The solid curve represents the quantum mechanical formula of Planck. The long wavelength approximation of Rayleigh and the short wavelength approximation of Wien's law are also shown in dotted line. So in the same graph we can plot the three formula simultaneously, and we note that the areas under the Planck curve and the Wien curve are pi to the power 4 by 15 and 6 respectively. If you calculate the area under the curve, then the for Planck curve it will be pi to the power 4 by 15, and for the Wien's curve it will be 6 respectively. The Rayleigh curve, however, suffers from high frequency catastrophe. We know that this fact, that is the Rayleigh curve suffers from the high frequency catastrophe, that is there is some it cannot explain the high frequency behavior. For the total energy density in the cavity, we obtain from dimensionless form of Planck's formula U prime x. That is, if you want to calculate the total energy density of the cavity, that is U by V, then you have to proceed in this way. You have to integrate Ux dx starting from 0 to infinity, where you know that is U prime x is equal to this one, that is pi square h cut cube c cube by kt to the power 4 into Ux. And this is the relation U prime x into dx is equal to x cube dx by e to the power x minus 1. So using this expression you can calculate U by V. So if we want to calculate U by V, then you have to integrate Ux dx, and you know the value of Ux. So from this relation, that is from using this relation you can integrate it from x is equal to 0 to infinity, and finally you will obtain pi square k to the power 4 divided by 15 h cut cube c cube t to the power 4. If there is a small opening in the walls of the cavity, the photons will effuse through it. The net rate of flow of the radiation per unit area of opening will be given by 1 by 4 into U by V into C. You have already reduced the expression of U by V. Then the net rate of flow of the radiation will be 1 by 4 into U by V into C. So that ultimately will become sigma t to the power 4, where value of the sigma is this one. So this particular law that gives the net rate of flow of the radiation per unit area, so that is actually known as the Stefan-Boltzmann law. So what we have shown here, that is starting from the Planck's law, we have deduced the Rayleigh law, we have deduced the Rayleigh law, next we have deduced the Wien's law, and next we have deduced the Stefan-Boltzmann law. So this is the end of the lecture. So finally what we can conclude, that we have learned that is black body radiation that can be treated by two different approach. So the first approach is the Planck's approach. Planck considered the black body radiation cavity as a collection of the harmonic oscillators, and the second approach is the Bose-Einstein approach. In Bose-Einstein approach, the black body cavity was treated as a photon gas, and by using the Bose-Einstein distribution formula and by using the some concept of the canonical ensemble, we have shown that the formula of the energy density is exactly same by these two approach. So content of the particular lecture I have taken from the book of Patria, and I request the viewers that for further understanding you can go through this particular textbook, and I also thank you for listening this lecture.